WHAN network. I'm Kate Czaplinski with a look at the latest local news today, including a bomb scare in downtown Milford, the latest on the investigation into a Trumbull police commissioner, and more. We also have a special chat with Wish kid Connor O'Neill of Darien about his Make-A-Wish Connecticut experience. It's also Front Page Thursday, so John Kovach will be joining me later to preview those papers, and Frank Granito will have a look at the forecast and a Nutmeg Sports update. But first, Hearst, Connecticut media reports that a flight instructor who survived a crash that killed a student pilot in East Hartford was recovering Wednesday in Bridgeport Hospital's burn unit. 43-year-old Arian Pravala had been upgraded from critical to fair condition, according to a hospital spokesman. Fair means stable and improving, according to that hospital spokesman. Pravala was injured, and student pilot Ferris Freke was killed when their Piper PA-34 Seneca crashed during a training flight Tuesday in East Hartford near the headquarters of Pratt & Whitney while returning to Brainerd Airport in Hartford. A law enforcement official who spoke to the Associated Press on the condition of anonymity confirmed the names of the two men, and a U.S. official familiar with the investigation told AP that the crash appeared to have been a suicide attempt by that student and that terrorism had been ruled out. The instructor described the student pilot as disgruntled about learning to be a pilot, according to the U.S. official. The FBI was investigating after the National Transportation Safety Board indicated that the wreck was deliberate. And in Milford, Daniel Street and the surrounding downtown area reopened yesterday at about 2:15 p.m. following a bomb scare that turned out to be nothing. Vaughn Dumas of the Milford Police Department said Daniel Street was closed and downtown businesses evacuated when a scare arose concern an inert object in a car in downtown parking lot. The incident started shortly after 2 in the afternoon. Dumas didn't have all the details, but he said authorities were investigating someone in a parking lot downtown on an unrelated matter, and they noticed the suspicious object in the person's car. One downtown businessman said a painter may have gotten into an argument with a restaurant owner, leading to the initial police presence. Dumas said the item in the car was investigated by police, fire, and a state bomb squad and determined it not to be a threat. The roads were reopened and business people were allowed to return to work. And Fairfield police are investigating 2 robberies at a CVS pharmacy at 1968 Black Rock Turnpike, one that occurred June 24th and one that happened on October 9th. In both cases, a white man entered the CVS and went to the pharmacy counter, where he threatened the pharmacy technician that people will be hurt if the technician did not comply with his request. In both cases, the pharmacy technician complied and the suspect fled with about 1,000 OxyContin pills for a total of some 2,000 tablets, a street value of nearly $20,000. The suspect is described as a white male with average height, average build, and wearing a baseball-style cap and gloves. In the first incident, he was carrying a backpack, and in the second incident, he was carrying an umbrella. Anyone with information regarding those robberies can contact the Fairfield Police Department at 203-254-4840. And Trumbull Police Commission Chairman Roger McGovern will not face charges for his actions following a minor traffic incident in August. McGovern was accused by a Stop and Shop employee, Bernardo Nieva, of harassment and intimidation in the weeks following a collision between McGovern's vehicle and Nieva, who was riding a bicycle. Nieva also said that McGovern had shown him a badge, possibly one that Trumbull Police Commission members are issued, and identified himself as a law enforcement officer. Police investigated and forwarded their findings to the state's attorney. Trumbull First Selectman Tim Herbst told the Trumbull Times Wednesday that the state's attorney has decided not to pursue criminal charges against McGovern. The decision has no bearing on the Ethics Commission, which is also investigating. The Ethics Commission is the only authority in town that can recommend the removal of an appointed official. Herbst said he was confident that the Ethics Commission would conduct a fair and thorough hearing. Herbst, who had viewed video footage of McGovern confronting Nieva inside Stop and Shop, said the video corroborated Nieva's version of events. The Trumbull Times has requested a copy of that video, and you can get updates at TrumbullTimes.com. And voters in 2 Stratford Town Council districts will choose new council members during a special election today. Polls in Districts 2 and 5 will be open from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. District 2 residents will vote at Stratford High School, while District 5 voters will vote at Nichols Elementary School. District 2 residents will choose between Democrat Scott Farrington Posner, Republican Ron Tishy, and petitioning candidate George Mulligan. The winner will succeed Mark Dumas, who resigned from the council in June, citing family and work commitments. Dumas had been elected in November of 2015. District 5 voters will select between Democrat Greg Cann or petitioning candidate John Dempsey, a former town council member. The winner will follow Joe Gresko, who resigned in May after winning his own special election to serve as the 121st district representative in the General Assembly. You can follow updates on that special election at stratfordstar.com. And the Eastern Courier reports that a teen involved in a serious accident back in May has been on a long but incredible road to recovery. Zach Standen was one of 2 teens in a car accident on Cross Hill Road in Reading on June 22nd. Zach had been partially ejected from the car his best friend was driving after the driver lost control and the vehicle left the roadway. That car traveled into the woods and down an embankment. Zach, who was the backseat passenger, sustained 23 fractures, including his sternum, and his lung collapsed after he had been intubated for 2 weeks. His spinal cord was compressed, which has left him paralyzed from the waist down. However, there is hope that he might be able to walk again someday. After a month at Yale New Haven Hospital, he spent a month at Gaylord Specialty Healthcare in Wallingford and returned home just days before going back to school. According to his family, although his doctor said he probably wouldn't be ready to go back to school until January, Zach was determined, and miraculously he returned to Joe Barlow High School in late August with his classmates to begin his senior year. Zach, who recently turned 17, said he wasn't that motivated about his schoolwork before, but the accident taught him hard work is important to get things done. Although drinking and drugs were not a factor in that accident, one message that he wants to share with other kids is don't live life recklessly and don't drink and drive. A former soccer and football athlete, Zach is now coaching the peers he played alongside with in soccer and goes to most games and Saturday practices. There's so much more on his story at eastoncourier.com. And Democrat incumbent Jim Himes and Republican John Shaben, candidates for the U.S. House of Representatives in the 4th Congressional District, will meet in a debate on Sunday, October 23rd from 5 to 6:30 at the Clune Performing Arts Center in Wilton High School. The debate is presented by 13 area chapters of the League of Women Voters in Fairfield County. Himes lives in Greenwich and Shaben lives in Reading, and both candidates have accepted the invitation to the event. The debate facilitator is Jara Burnett of LWV in Greenwich. You can get more details at wiltonbulletin.com. But let's shift gears now and throw it over to Frank Granito for a look at the forecast. Frank.
Thank you, Kate. We saw some early morning fog throughout the county that has cleared up now for partly sunny skies, which should remain through the early afternoon. A high of 68 today, but there is a chance for a shower or two through this evening. But we should see clear skies by midnight and temperatures in the low 50s as we head towards Friday morning. Friday will be mostly sunny during the day, but very windy with gusts up over 20 miles per hour. Temperatures in the low 60s during the day tomorrow on Friday, but that should drop down along with the wind as we'll see clear skies in the late evening for 2 of the 9 FCIAC football games this weekend. And Saturday looks like it will be a beautiful day as many of those FCIAC teams will be celebrating homecoming Saturday afternoon. Mostly sunny skies and temperatures in the mid to low 60s with a light breeze in the afternoon. Clear skies overnight and temperatures will drop down into the 40s before we see Sunday morning. It's going to do it for the weather here. Let's go back over to Kate.
All right. Thanks so much, Frank. We are going to step out for a break. When we come back, we'll have a look back on this day in history, a Nutmeg Sports Update with Frank, and we have a special interview with Wish Kid Connor from Darien. Be sure to check that out coming up on your coffee break after this. Have a sports injury or a slip and fall that needs immediate care? Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care gives you direct access to an orthopedic specialist fast, without an appointment. Biking, golf, tennis, soccer, whatever the sports injury is, sprain or fracture, Coastal Ortho Express can help. Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care, open Monday through Saturday, now in 2 locations. The iPark building at 761 Main Avenue in Norwalk and 36 Old Kings Highway South in Darien. Or go to coastalorthoexpress.com, like them on Facebook.
Hi, this is Leo Carl from Carl Chevrolet in New Canaan, and you've heard me talk about the Chevy Volt for years. The new model gets 53 miles on EV charge daily, plus 420-mile full range. But don't take my word for it. You need to come in and test drive the Volt yourself. Visit us at 261 Elm Street in New Canaan or online at carldirect.com.
Visit 5 significant houses designed by Philip Johnson in New Canaan, Connecticut on an exclusive one-day study tour on October 22nd. The tour will visit the Hodgson House, the Alice Ball House, Wiley Speculative House, and Boisana's House, culminating with an evening tour of the Glass House property and festive reception. Tickets include tours of each house, shuttle transportation, and refreshments throughout. Visit theglasshouse.org and click on What's On to get your tickets and more information. As you're getting back to your regular schedules, we're excited to get back to doing what we do best, offering you the freshest seasonal fare and all the ingredients for a healthy start to school. So shop Walter Stewart's for everything fresh, from A, apples to Z, zucchini, and from cotton candy grapes to back to nature all-natural snack bags. We save you time by stocking all of your favorite back-to-school essentials under one roof. Walter Stewart's Market, 229 Elm Street, or shop online at stewartsmarket.com.
At InSports Trumbull, the game is always on inside. Recently renovated and home to one of Connecticut's largest indoor turf fields, InSports is a multi-sport recreation center providing state-of-the-art facilities for league play, camps, and youth programs. InSports College Baseball Coaches Camp takes place at InSports on October 23rd from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. This unique, limited-space event features many of the area's top college baseball coaches who will work with high school players in a hands-on clinic setting, as well as evaluate their infield skills. For more information, contact Mike Buswell at InSports, 203-268-1214. Like and follow us on Facebook.
Washington Prime, now open on Main Street in Georgetown. Come enjoy our relaxed setting, excellent service, award-winning nightly happy hours, and feast on our creative new American cuisine. Connecticut Magazine's winner for Best Steak, Washington Prime of Georgetown.
If you're watching this broadcast, you're not alone. The HAN network is available for 200,000 Connecticut cable customers on the Frontier Network, and we've also reached 1.7 million viewers on our free live streaming sports, news, and entertainment broadcasts. To reach our rapidly growing audience, contact Advertising Director Jessica Murrin at 203-273-7312 or email jessica@han.network.
We're back on this October 13th edition of your Coffee Break on the HAN Network. I'm Kate Czaplinski, filling in for Donald Ang today with a look back on this day in history or Hanstory. Remember, you can play along and guess each day what's going to be included. But let's start first with 1307. Hundreds of Knights Templar in France are simultaneously arrested by agents of the ironically named Philip the Fair, to be later tortured into a confession of heresy and then burned at the stake. It is speculated that the mass arrest, which happened at dawn on a Friday, is the origin of the superstition that Friday the 13th is an unlucky day. Now we go to 1943. Italy switches sides, declaring the war on its former Axis partner Germany. With Mussolini having been deposed from power and the fascist government gone, Italy had surrendered to the Allies in September. That surrender was dependent upon allowing the Allies to land in Salerno and then fight their way 700 miles up the peninsula. And in 1958, Paddington Bear makes his debut. There he is right there, his statue anyway, at Paddington Station. The talking bear caused remarkably little alarm in a crowded train station, but if he can talk, why did Aunt Lucy feel the need to put a sign on him? And now, finally, we go to 2010, where there was this. The Copiapo mining accident in Copiapo, Chile comes to an end as all 33 miners arrive at the surface after surviving a record 69 days underground awaiting rescue. The men had been buried half a mile underground and for 17 days were believed dead. However, when the government drilled a test to bore into the mine tunnel that workers had been trained to try to reach in an emergency, the drill bit came back with a note taped to it and a message that said, "We are well in the shelter, 33 of us." And this does not do it for your look back on this day in history, because we have an interesting historical item today from WiltonBulletin.com. On this day in history, October 13th, 1902, Wilton resident Mabel Fitch Sturgis was struck by a .32 caliber bullet while putting the finishing touches on a cake she was making for her wedding the very next day. The bullet entered through the side of the Sturgis home at 436 Hurlbut Street, passed through 2 interior walls, and struck Sturgis in her right arm. The bullet missed her elbow joint by a 1/16 of an inch and exited just below her shoulder. The 24-year-old screamed and was driven to the office of Wilton's health officer, Dr. A.B. Gorham, who dressed the wound. Although she suffered from severe shock, Sturgis went through with the wedding at St. Matthew's Episcopal Church the following night. According to a 1902 Utica Herald Dispatch article, Sturgis went to the altar with her arm in bandages, covering her wound. She married 33-year-old Weston resident Oscar Budd. The shooting was traced back to a young farmhand named Walter Sterling, who had accidentally touched the trigger while examining a gun outside the Sturgis home. Very cool local history item from WiltonBulletin.com, but we're going to throw it over to Frank. I know, Frank, as you said before, that gives new meaning to a shotgun wedding.
Yeah, well, that's Josh Fisher who deserves credit for that one. Taking a look at this Nutmeg Sports update, though, there were no games in action yesterday because of the religious holiday, but the HAN Network is back at it this afternoon. We will travel to Staples High School for some volleyball. We've got coverage at 4 p.m. when we'll see the FCIAC East leading Brian McMahon Senators take on the Wreckers of Staples. McMahon comes into today's game with a record of 10-1. Holding first place in the FCIAC East Division. Staples comes in with a record of 6-6. They're 6th place in the FCIAC West. Senators are currently tied for 2nd in the conference with Ridgefield. Staples on the outside looking in of that playoff bracket right now. They are tied for 10th, 2 games behind 3 teams in that 8th place position. Other volleyball matches in action today will include Greenwich at Norwalk at 4:15, Trinity at Wilton at 4:15, Trumbull and West Hill will play at 5:30. Stanford and St. Joe's at 5:30. And Ludlow at New Canaan. That also set to start at 5:30. Those are your other volleyball games going on today. The FCIAC bye week is over, and this weekend's play will start tonight for football. The Norwalk Bears will travel to Bridgeport and take on the Central Hilltoppers. Kickoff is set for 6 p.m., and we will have a full breakdown of that game as well as the other 8 FCIAC football games coming up this weekend, as well as looking at this afternoon's volleyball match between Staples and McMahon. All of that at 2 o'clock with Donald Ang and myself right here on Nutmeg Sports. That's going to do it for this Nutmeg Sports update. Let's send it back over to Kate.
All right, thanks so much, Frank. Well, we had a special guest in studio yesterday from Make-A-Wish, Connecticut, Connor O'Neill of Darien, who just recently got his wish granted. And we talked to him about a special event coming up that's going to be honoring him and helping other kids get their wishes granted. Check it out. I'm Kate Czaplinski for the HAN Network, and we're talking today about Make-A-Wish Connecticut's Celebrating Wishes Ball, which is coming up on November 5th. And I have 2 very special guests joining me today to talk about that. Michael Dominic of Make-A-Wish and Wish Kid Connor O'Neill. Welcome, guys. So happy to have you.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Now, Michael, I hear that Connor is going to be a big part of this November 5th ball. He's going to be getting honored.
He is. Connor has an incredible story, and I'll let him tell you that. But every year at the ball, which is a dinner dance auction, we honor 1 or 2 kids and tell their story in depth so that people that come to the event can really understand the depth of what a wish really is. And as you'll come to know very quickly, when we met Connor and heard his story, we knew that it was something we wanted to share with everyone.
Now, Connor, this may be one of my favorite wishes that I've ever seen for Make-A-Wish. You wanted to go on a Mediterranean cruise.
Yep.
Tell me why.
I just love the Italian cuisine and like all those cuisines.
Yeah, and so what was some of your favorite food that you ate when you were over there?
Pasta.
Wow, every kind? I mean, was it any, or all different?
All different.
Yeah, and I know you were also checking out a lot of the sites. There's a lot of cool history there.
Yep.
Yeah, so what was that like?
It was so awesome because like I saw how old it was and like how much the history.
I think I saw a video of you having a cappuccino, too.
Yes.
You need more caffeine.
Right, you seem like you're not caffeinated enough. So what did all your friends think when they found out about your wish?
They're like, wait, is that really happening? And I'm like, I think so.
And so what did it mean to you? Because I know Make-A-Wish, very important to you, and it was a big deal. So how do you feel about them as a group?
I feel like after my wish, they sent me a letter that said, you're now part of the Wish family. I'm like, now I'm part of a Wish family. Like, now I feel, like, happy.
Yeah. And, Michael, I know that this event coming up is a big fundraiser for you guys.
It
Can
is.
you tell us a little bit more about it?
Yep. So like I said, it's a dinner dance auction. It's our biggest fundraiser of the year. Last year, with a lot of success from the community, we raised $525,000, which is a little more than 50 wishes. So it really kind of catapults our year because we started our year over in September 1st. So having the chance to share Connor's story with 400, 500 people in the room, and just ask them, we have 200 to 300 kids just like Connor every year in Connecticut that need a wish, and this is the event where you can make it happen. So we're looking forward to some exciting auction items. We've got a really cool live auction package. Connor's going to be a part of not only the program, but I think he's going to help us out with the live auction a bit too. It's going to be an exciting night.
Now, Connor, I know you've talked to Make-A-Wish about, just with all your doctor's appointments and stuff, it's kind of hard to have time to play with your friends.
Yeah.
And so what was it like to have this trip with your family and just have all that time for yourself to have fun?
It was like, I couldn't believe. I'm like, Mom, so this week, are you sure we don't have any doctor's appointments? Like, are you sure I don't need like physical therapy or anything? And then I just realized that I'm in Italy. How is that supposed to happen? Like,
so cool. And I hear you're pretty well known around Darien,
Yeah.
too, where you live, right? You go to the library, people know who you are. You're a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
So do you want to help other kids get their wishes granted? Is that your goal?
yeah, it is.
In fact, I heard he's a bit of a performer, Michael, and maybe someday, if he's winning any awards, maybe he'll give a shout out to Make-A-Wish.
I think there could be down the road kids wishing to meet Connor. That's very possible.
Yes.
So
I love it. So how can people attend the event?
the easiest thing is just visit our website, ct.wish.org/ball. And if you go on there, it shows you we have individual tickets. You can purchase tables. You can be a sponsor of the event. There's many different levels of how to support the event, but they're on sale now, and it's November 5th, and it's a pretty popular event, especially this year. It's our 30th anniversary, so if you're planning on coming, we suggest you grab your ticket soon.
That's so cool. Connor, why should people go?
Because it's helping kids like me have their wishes come true.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for joining me. So excited. I wish I could go on a Mediterranean cruise. I have to see all your pictures.
Okay.
But thank you so much for talking to us, guys. We're going to wrap things up here for the HAN Network. I'm Kate Czaplinski. We'll see you next time. Thanks again to Connor and Michael for joining us yesterday. A great event to support. We're going to step out now for a break, and when we come back, John Kovacs joins me, and we're going to preview the front pages of our HAN Network newspapers this week after this.
This is now 44 years I've been in this business. Digital came along. After I was in business for about 6 years, I had to totally reinvent the business. So I had to make a tremendous investment in my business. And Milford Bank was there for me. I don't really just consider Milford Bank a bank. I consider them a trusted partner in my business. My name is Jim Wilson, owner of Milford Photo. I choose to bank with Milford Bank.
The leaves are changing, water temps dropping, and the sun is setting a little earlier each day. But there's still a lot of great boating, fishing, and coast time left before we see the first snow. And above all, remember, it's always summer at the Dock Shop. With loads of new fishing tackle and accessories, clothing, jewelry, and home decor, the Dock Shop is just what you need when you start to feel that New England autumn chill. Boater, beach bum, fisherman, or simply love the New England coast, this is a unique place to shop. The Dock Shop, 51 Tokenique Road, Darien, 609 Riverside Avenue, Westport, dockshop.com.
I really wanted something that felt like a home. Coming from a big house, I wanted the feel of a home as opposed to a condo. New Canaan is 6 minutes down the road. New Canaan's a beautiful little town to walk around. I work in Westport. My commute is 20 minutes. It's close to Westchester, where my family is, so the location is ideal. There is no other townhome that compares in the area. This is where I want to be.
I'm a filthy rich executive. I hear the market's down 1,000,000 points. I freak out. I spill my large espresso. The searing pain makes me slam on the brakes. Uh-oh, your fault. And your cut rate insurance may not cover my $90,000 car, so I sue you, because that's what I do. So get Allstate. You can save money and be better protected from mayhem, like me.
Visit your local Allstate agent, Nick Montanero, at 6528 Main Street in Trumbull for a personalized quote.
I'm Frank Granito.
And I'm Donald Ng for the HAN Network.
Tune in to Nutmeg Sports Monday through Thursday, where we bring you all the top stories from Connecticut sports.
From highlights to player interviews and expert analysis, no one gets you closer to Connecticut's games than Nutmeg Sports.
Nutmeg Sports, now Monday through Thursday at 2 p.m. on the HAN Network.
We're back on your coffee break, and since it's Thursday, editorial director John Kovach joins me now to preview the front pages of our papers this week. John?
Kate, glad to be here.
Glad to have you. What do you have up first?
Darien has earned its second affordable housing moratorium, so you know that'll be the subject of debate, as it always is. Absentee ballots are available for the upcoming presidential election. Beautiful horse shot from the Oxbridge Hunt Club, that by Laureen Valenti. The story that we've been discussing on both Coffee Break and Nutmeg Sports, the suspension nearly over of Darien head football coach Rob Trefone, and a look at stolen car statistics as Darien compares with neighboring towns. What are you looking at?
Interesting. All right, well, I'm taking a look at the front page of the Milford Mirror. Some more great local history today, but a Milford resident was actually the first female jockey to ride in a U.S. race, and also the first woman to ride in the Kentucky Derby in 1970. So very cool story there by Jill Dion. Also, some residents at a condo complex in Milford trying to save a sick swan who got stuck in a sewage tank. And is now suffering some issues from that story on there. And a big story, of course, last Friday, a man was found dead in a burned car at the Coastal Center, at the Audubon Coastal Center. He's been identified as 72-year-old Richard Ware. He had actually just been released from prison a few months before for embezzling from some local charities. But interesting story there. I know Jill's been covering it. And an emotional campaign kickoff for the United Way.
Very seasonal front page in the Shelton Herald. Once you get past the tragedy, the death of a Shelton man in a crash on Route 8, and the Teamsters ratifying the contract that will keep Sikorsky Aircraft in Connecticut, we have the corn maze at Wells Hollow Farm, the Garden Club announcing the winners of its contest to take photos of the city flower, and a haunted hayride, plus some other seasonal events, that all in the Shelton Herald.
All right, well, taking a look at the front page of the Ridgefield Press, a big event coming up this weekend, which is the Fall in Love with downtown Ridgefield. Always a good time, and the weather should be nice for that. As well as a Ridgefield businessman having plans to open a microbrewery on Route 7. And Branchville development plans hinge on some sewer proposals and sewer things that need to happen there. Of course, an adorable face painting photo. And another great history story, this one by Jack Sanders, who is a local historian in Ridgefield. But this one about how a crook who loved corned beef and how a corned beef meal proved his undoing as he was on a crime, on a long list of crime spree, that was the word I was looking for.
Now I'm interested in the story in addition to being hungry.
I know. All right, well, what do you have up next?
In New Canaan, charter revision remains the most important story going on, and a Freedom of Information Commission hearing about the secrecy in terms of revealing names of certain people who were spoken to, and testimony that secrecy stemmed from fear of retribution. Debate between State Senator Tony Boucher, the incumbent Republican in the 26th District, and her challenger, Carol Ann Curry of Westport. Some election memorabilia, and believe this is, yes, it's George Cody. He has been the Democratic Registrar in New Canaan for some time, and he has just a tremendous collection of election memorabilia. Some really great stuff. That's not even a drop in the bucket of what George has. Some of it very rare. And yes, cat lovers are for
Bush in 2000.
Yes. And an update on the Roger Sherman development. Again, the historic building and inn there being taken down. The development proposal is now for 7 houses rather than 8.
All right. Well, I'm taking a look at the front page of the Trumbull Times. A free bike event. You can, with Trumbull historian Sue Del Bianco, you can bike the rail trail there. A beautiful ride. And of course, as we mentioned earlier, officials in Trumbull calling for the resignation of that Trumbull police commissioner who was involved in that investigation, Roger McGovern. According to Tim Herbst, he's refused to resign. And now there's an ethics investigation going on. And a beautiful fall photo taken by our own John Kovach right here. This was in Toshua, Christ Episcopal Church. Very lovely there. And
just stumbling upon a beautiful photo.
Yes.
At the right time with the camera with me.
Right, and something that we've talked about on other shows, but the Clothesline Project returning to Trumbull, really powerful. That's going to be outside the library. And interestingly, some unprecedented success for the recent THS grads of 2016. Many of them have been accepted into very competitive schools and Ivy League colleges, making it a very successful class. So congrats to them.
Very cool. Election news in Weston, where there was a debate for the 135th General Assembly District. Adam Dunsby, Republican of Easton, Green Party candidate Bonnie Troy of Weston. Greg Menti with the coverage on that. Story that Patty Gay and Greg have done a wonderful job covering, a very difficult story to cover, and an interview with the family of First Selectman Nina Daniel, who is on leave. You've discussed that on Coffee Break and on CT Pulse. Another wildlife rehabilitation story, and that the Eagle has landed. Very great shots there. And another story you brought us here on Coffee Break, and that the charges filed against the owner of the house in which numerous birds and reptiles and snakes were found, both alive and dead.
Right. All right. Well, taking a look at the front page of the Stratford Star. The Teamsters ratify that Sikorsky deal that was crafted by Malloy and Lockheed Martin that passed with the union there. Also, an ideal fall venue, Booth Memorial Park, will have its Stratford Great Pumpkin Festival this weekend. As you can see, there's really some cool creations that come out of that. So definitely check that out. Special election today. And back to James Farms Road, developer files modified affordable housing plan with the Zoning Commission.
Another historic story on the front of the Wilton Bulletin, where the Brubeck Quartet held. We're a little under 4 years since jazz musician Dave Brubeck died. The Brubeck Quartet, which is Dan Brubeck, Mike D'Amico, Chris Brubeck, and Chuck Lamb, they're going to perform the Brubeck Songbook, that on November 5th at the Wilton Library. Potential traffic jams due to work on Route 7. The first fall festival at the Woodcock Nature Center, that is scheduled for October 29th. And a former nursery is possibly going to become home to an assisted living facility in Wilton.
All right. We'll take a look at the front page of the Monroe Courier. Monroe's United Methodist Church is hosting a Community Kindness Day on October 16th, inviting everyone to spread kindness there. Also, as we mentioned on Coffee Break, Jim Himes and John Shaben will debate on October 23rd. And a near-death experience inspiring a Monroe new business owner to start her business. And we should mention the new Massac High School turf field was officially opened October 7th with a ribbon cutting.
The Reading Pilot also has the story about the student injured in an accident coaching soccer from his wheelchair. Also coverage of the 135th District debate. Also coverage of the potential brewery in Ridgefield, and a story about a sustainable yoga wear company that is being founded in Reading.
Very cool. All right, and the Easton Courier Finance Board exploring funding for multiple bridge projects there. And also, as we've been talking about, is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and so coverage of a recent vigil held there. And again, that story just really inspiring. I suggest everyone go to eastoncourier.com or read it in your paper this week about this Easton teen that was injured in this car accident and just his recovery since then and what he's been doing. Really a great story.
And the cover of our Arts and Leisure section includes our own Jack Sanders. Tremendous historian, does a great job researching and writing it, a real passion for it. Wicked Ridgefield, Connecticut.
Oh, fun.
His latest work, and I'm looking forward to reading about
Yes,
that.
that is very cool. All right, John, and I know once we wrap things up here in Coffee Break, we do have Yankee Fisherman coming up at 1 o'clock.
We are going to talk to the founder of the Fancy Fluke Fishing Company, who wants everybody to fish like a girl.
All right, I'm down. All right, so that's at 1 o'clock, Yankee Fisherman. Nutmeg Sports at 2 o'clock, and live volleyball coverage at 4:15, so be sure to check it out. We're going to wrap things up here on your Coffee Break, but we'll see you tomorrow at 11. Have a great day.